Hello, I'm Ema Pantovic, and today joining us we welcome Maltese Serbian author Natasa Pantovic, who is also an ancient world's consciousness researcher and an owner of an independent publishing house called Arts of Four Elements. Welcome, it is an honor to interview you.
Hi, thanks for inviting me here.
You're welcome. I researched that you're an author who has written up to 10 books within your career. This doesn't sound like an overnight process. So how many years did it take you to write this amount, and when did you begin?
Yes, it's a lifetime journey, isn't it? And I have published my first book in '93 in Serbia. So yes, it was a very long time ago, because I'm actually at the moment 54 years old, so I had a huge amount of years to do all of this. Yes, I have recently published 8 books with an independent publishing house, Art of Four Elements. There is a little venture of 8 people, and we have published 44 titles in English, French and Italian, and I'm part of the group who has actually done this work. I have actually been in a different area of life, in business world was my focus previously. I've done about 20 years of management consulting all over the world. I lived in 5 countries and
Wow.
and have visited many destinations, going and actually supporting Malta as an IT outsourcing destination, as a head of business development of large companies. I worked for about 20 years within business world, and I worked for large consulting companies, type of KPMG and Deloitte and Lloyd's in England, Holland and Serbia. So the books are inspired first partly by my work within this personal development space, but partly within my personal journey that has more or less started 10 years ago. And that was really my adoption journey, where I have adopted my daughter, you, Ema, and her brother Andre, within an Ethiopian, going into Ethiopia, helping build an Ethiopian orphanage together with one beautiful priest, Father George. So there were 2 sort of sides of this long journey. One was business oriented, the other one was volunteering to actually help people do different things.
Wow, that sounds like a very long and intense process. And your books, just like your journeys, they focus on a vast array of topics. But mostly they tend to delve into the past, because you're also an ancient world's consciousness researcher. So where would you say do you pull most of your inspiration and ideas from?
I'm very inspired with ancient worlds. I'm very inspired by the archaeology. I'm very inspired with this area which is called philosophy of sound. So my books, and this is my latest, it's called Metaphysics of Sound, actually dwells within this area, going back in time, looking into most amazing research of, for example, Rosetta Stone, or most amazing research of ancient Egyptian script and looking at the way the alphabet changed, touching the Greek alphabet and bringing into it my Serbian mind, because we have very similar ancient world history with a goddess, you know, as ancient as 7,000 years ago. We also had civilizations. I thought this mix of Malta and Serbia is a totally inspiring mix, where I can actually merge the research of Slavic archaeology, which is really recent, and archaeology and development of sound of Maltese, Arabic and Phoenicians.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And writing the book, it does take a lot of research, a lot of planning. There's many different methods people take, but usually it does take around a year of this whole process of writing a book, putting your ideas together. So what would you say was the book that you had the most difficulty writing and researching for you?
I would say my first one, Ema, was the longest one, because it dwells with a very inspiring subject of the Age of Enlightenment and works with research into Chinese philosophy and how does that map the mythology a bit of ancient Greeks and the development of thought within Europe. So in both of those cases the research was extensive, so that particular process has started many years ago, and I had this Ama as a character, and Ama was there as a black character that is living in Macau, running a coffee house and being a philosopher of the 17th century. I had this lady living with me before I met my daughter, you, Emma, who entered my life later. And that is a set of coincidences that have led to your adoption and have led to actually a birth of that particular book, Ama, was amazing.
Yeah. And I've noticed you researched the ancient world quite passionately. So I must ask, is there a particular historical figure or a person that inspires you or that you find of any interest, and why?
Yes, many of them, but Pythagoras is the one that I would put first within that list, and that's why my latest book is actually called Playing the Glass Bead Game with Pythagoras, because Pythagoras left us music, and understanding music and symbolism within the music and mathematics and symbolism within the mathematics. We're actually entering the consciousness waves of the humanity thought that is far in the past, and it is really there, the way it influenced the development of languages. It is very visible. It is really there within everything we've done in the past. So I am actually, Enlightenment was, the Age of Enlightenment was the age that in particular resurrected those ideas, ancient Greeks ideas, and we carried it forth with most amazing metaphysics of different sciences. It's this idea of keeping God and spirit and goddesses within the scientific world. It's the idea of both left hand and right hand development of thought that is actually both very connected to social values, to our life on earth today.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of resurrection in the past, if there were any words of wisdom you could share with any sort of figure from the past, present, or future, who would you love to converse with and sit with and have a nice talk about any topic you like? And what would you maybe talk about with that person?
Apart from Pythagoras, I would go for Albert Einstein. I would ask Albert Einstein to come and talk to me, and I would love to spend some time with him, discussing the universe and this macro and micro manifestation. That would be the. If you wish, I could share a quote or something.
Sure, of course.
Let me see. Maybe I have one over here, but maybe I don't. Mm-hmm. It says a human being is part of the whole called universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as separate from the rest. But in fact, it's all very unique. I haven't actually written the quote over here because Emma didn't share the interview with me, so I didn't know this particular question. But I did start writing the quote because this was something that I wished to include within the interview anyhow. So, forgive me for not knowing exact ending of that quote, but it is beautiful quote. Merging this universe and human being, and how does the human beings live together consciously on earth, from Albert Einstein.
Wow, wonderful. It is a common fact that certain artists, such as yourself, they don't like to shy away from controversy and speaking their mind. Could you share with us maybe one view you had on any topic that sparked controversy with the public or began a conversation?
It's a nice question, actually. It's a nice question. I love talking about our first writers. I love talking about Sumerian liturgy as being the carrier of that writing is actually a Sumerian high priestess. And these are scientific facts. I love seeing 10 Commandments within ancient Egyptian writings because the first 10 Commandments were actually within the Book of Death of ancient Egypt. So I love noticing these historical facts. Yes, it was a priestess, high priestess of Sumer, that was worshipping Sin, the god of moon, that has written our first ever liturgy. And yes, the first ever liturgy was a perfect one, and if you look into the text of these first ever liturgies, you'll come across a beautiful version that was then repeated within many religious systems. So archaeology always works with controversial subjects because archaeology fights for the truth.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to be here. It was an honor to interview you. Thank you very much.
This was a very beautiful interview. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you. Ema Pantovic. This is Natasa Pantovic. Thank you for listening.